All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Dominique Moss. I'm the Director of Law School Initiatives with CLEO, and today we are going to be going through an information session for CLEO's program PLSI, our Pre-Law Summer Institute. So a little bit about me. I come from a background of education. So I started in the classroom. I have a really strong passion for student success and supporting students and whatever their needs may be. As you can see, my values are equity and access. And so those are things that I carry with me everywhere I go. I had the pleasure of joining the CLEO team in April of 2023. And I've been serving in this director role ever since. In my purview are quite a few programs and components of CLEO work, but primarily we're going to be focused on PLSI, and that is why we are here today. So hopefully you had the opportunity to complete the poll. It's just going to help me with taking attendance. Then we're going to discuss a little bit about who is CLEO or what is our organization all about, a description of PLSI, the structure and overview of the program. We're going to spend some time going over the application process as well. Then we're going to start to trickle down into how you can stand out as a candidate, as someone who is interested in applying to PLSI. Then we'll have some opportunities to hear from CLEO alumni. And then we'll round off with Q&A. So as you can probably tell, this is a webinar. So you're going to have the opportunity to put your questions in, not the chat, but there's a question and answer function at the bottom. So as you can see, questions will be held for the end, but if you, throughout the presentation and while you're hearing from different folks, have questions come up, feel free to utilize the Q&A function. I am going to take a moment to pause and introduce the alumni that you will be hearing from later on. We're waiting for one more person to come off. There we go. So here with us today, we have Zanani and we have Aviana. Both of these lovely ladies were participants in PLSI 2024. They're actually both pictured here at Fort Snelling. This was one of the field trips that we went on in PLSI 2024. I'm the one taking the picture because I didn't want to be in that one. But anyway, ladies, thank you so much for being here. And I'll give you a moment also to introduce yourselves. In no particular order.
All right, well, I'll go. Nice to see you, Dom, and of course, my roomie, Aviana. Hey, everyone. I wish I could see your faces, but I'm looking forward to speaking with you all. I'm currently a 1L at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University College of Law, located in Orlando, Florida. It is a HBCU law school, and I've been loving my experience.
Thank you.
Hey, it's nice to see you too, Rumi. And of course, it's always good to see you, Dominique. My name is Aviana Ranson. I am a 1L at Washburn School of Law in Topeka, Kansas. And it's unfortunate it's not at HBCU, but I am loving my experience.
Awesome. Thank you as well. So you'll have an opportunity to hear from them later on in the program, and as well as you have the opportunity to submit questions directly to them also in the Q&A. So thank you, ladies, again for being here. So diving in to our CLEO mission and vision. So the work that CLEO does and has been doing since 1968 is to inspire, motivate, and prepare students from underrepresented communities to succeed in law school and beyond. And the way that we do that is through our programs. So this is an overview of all of the programming that CLEO offers. What I'm going to do tonight is essentially focus in on PLSI, which is the highlighted program. But I do know that we have folks who are tuning in who may not be planning to go to law school this fall, or maybe even the fall after that. So I wanted to give you the background information so that you know that CLEO is a pipeline organization and we can support you no matter where you are in your journey to applying and having access to law school. So we start off with our freshman in college, and then we have offerings all the way up to, you know, supporting you with passing the bar. So that starts off with college scholars. And under that umbrella of programs resides the Road to Law School, Sophomore Super Saturday, as well as Jumpstart the LSAT. Then we also offer CLEO Connection and ASAP. So if you're not necessarily going to apply to law schools for this cycle, maybe a later cycle, some of those programs might be a great place for you to start. Go ahead and go to the CLEO website, and we have a program pipeline portion, it's a lot of P's, of the website that focuses in on all of our programs, and you can identify, depending where you are in your journey, which program would be a good fit for you. Again, today we're focusing on PLSI, which is our flagship program, and we also offer AIE, which is also for students who are planning to start law school immediately. So it is a summer program. Happy to answer questions about AIE as well. And then again, because we are a pipeline organization, we support you not just preparing for law school, not just starting law school, but even when you are going to prepare for your bar exam. Now, keep in mind that our bar prep program is only open to students who have already participated in a CLEO program. So that's restrictive to CLEO alumni. So if you do not participate in any CLEO programming, you would not therefore have access to the bar prep. So, and I like to say that out loud just so people can know. All right, diving into why you are all here. What is PLSI? So PLSI is a 6-week coursework where students are taking real life law school classes taught by real life law school professors. At the end of it, you are taking final exams, you are taking quizzes throughout, you are studying, you have reading, you have field trips, you have networking opportunities, and at the end of it, you have a transcript. That transcript is sometimes used as a tool for some students to help give them an edge with their application at a law school. So by that, I mean there are students who come into PLSI who are already accepted into law school. And then we have a group of students who are waitlisted. We have groups of students who haven't yet heard back from all of their law schools yet. And all of those students fit into the bucket of people who are eligible to apply and participate in PLSI. And that transcript at the end, again, can be utilized as a tool to give you the law schools that you have applied to some additional data on how you may perform in con law, how you may perform in torts, so that they can make a decision on your application. Some schools may hold off on reviewing your application or making a final decision based off of your PLSI transcript. So it's definitely a good tool and has absolutely supported students in recent years with that. I'm not going to just read the bullet points, but you'll basically get all of the foundational information. So you'll learn how to read your cases and brief your cases. You're going to have opportunities, like I mentioned, to go on field trips and learn a lot about some historical context of different cases. You're going to learn how to use IRAC, which is a strategy in writing for when you will be in law school. You're going to learn how to create outlines and learn how to budget your time and study and prepare for your exams. So really, PLSI is the hands-on boot camp or training that you would want before starting law school, so that when you go and start your 1L year, it's not the first time that you're hearing the word tort. It's not the first time that you're learning how to outline and study. So essentially, this is your head start before you dive into law school. And I see some questions are already coming in through the Q&A, so love to see that. Make sure that you are utilizing the Q&A function so that we can get to all of your questions at the end. I like to pause for just a moment to share this story of impact. This is a quick quote from a student who participated in PLSI from 2024, who said, "I'm overall really glad I did this program. I feel like I have a good understanding of what I need to do going into law school. Without this, I would be heading into law school blind and trying to figure out how to read a case and how to do a brief. Now I can get started right away." A lot of the feedback that we receive from students regarding their time in PLSI is that it gave them a leg up. It gave them an opportunity to be ahead, because most of their peers are coming into law school not already having experienced that. But when you are participating in PLSI, you get that experience before you start law school. So yeah, I like to share that with you. So regarding the program structure of PLSI and what you can expect, so this year we are transitioning to an in-person program. So the first 2 weeks will be virtual for everyone. That is being consistent. But then all students will transition into being in person on campus for this year's PLSI. Now, I know what you're thinking, Dominique, where is PLSI? Where is this campus? I can't tell you yet. And I know that that is not the news that you wanted, but it is coming. I promise. We're just waiting for ink to dry on a few things. But the campus is going to be great. We already, all of that is underway. I'm just waiting for a few more things to dry before I can make the official announcement. So if that's the burning question that you have, I'll share that right now. I'm not allowed to share the host at this exact moment, but information is definitely coming soon. So again, the first 2 weeks are virtual for everyone. And then after the first 2 weeks, everyone will then make their way to the host law school and will be taking classes for PLSI in person for the remainder of the 6 weeks. As I shared, the classes on campus will be with real law school professors. So these aren't just people who don't know what they're talking about. These are people who are current with what's going on, who can make their workload and their coursework relevant to what's going on in the present day, which is a lot, we know. But so we look forward to that. I also mentioned already that you do get a transcript at the end of the program that features your PLSI grades. So a frequent question, I guess I'll just answer this now, that I receive regarding this transcript is that, do those classes that you take during PLSI count as credit towards your law degree or towards your JD? And the answer is no. So when you go through PLSI and you get this transcript from the host law school saying this is how you performed in torts, this is how you performed in constitutional law, while you receive that transcript, and that is a document issued from that law school that is specific to PLSI, and those courses are not given credits, and there is nothing that is transferable to your law school. So I want to answer that one ahead of time. And then lastly, inside of PLSI, you can expect weekend obligations, though, you will have some free time. You will be dedicating time to studying and also going on field trips on the weekends. We try to give you a nice balance so that you're not obligated to be somewhere every day, but do know that those are obligations that come with participating in the PLSI schedule. And that it is a full-time program. So you are there, once you are physically on campus, you're there Sunday to Sunday until graduation and the program ends. I know that's another question that sometimes comes up with having to work full-time or balance, other coursework studies. So I'll share that as well. I have here a video with some feedback from a student regarding their PLSI experience. I'm actually going to hold on sharing this video. What I'll do is when I send out the recording and when I send out, the thank you message, I will include this video, and that way you have time to see it. But because we do have 2 guest speakers here today, I want to allot more time to hearing from them live. And when I say them, I mean Zanani and Aviana, so that we can get as much time with them as possible. But you will be able to view this video at a later time. All right. So the next question, and one of the most prominent questions that comes up when it comes to PLSI, is what is the cost and what is included? So the cost for PLSI is $2,500, and that includes room and board, your course materials, and transportation to PLSI events. So that means if we have a field trip, for instance, when we were hosted by Mitchell Hamlin School of Law in St. Paul, Minnesota, we did have a field trip to Fort Snelling. None of that comes at a cost to the students because that is already included in their program fee. When you wake up on Tuesday morning and you're going to class, you will have breakfast, lunch, and you will have dinner. All of that is included in your program fee. So all of that is included there. In terms of student responsibility, students are responsible for their transportation to and from PLSI. And so that means if we were, again, going to be hosted in St. Paul, Minnesota, for an example, students would be responsible for covering their transportation to make it to Minnesota for the in-person portion of the program and getting back home. That is a student responsibility, as well as any extracurricular activities outside of PLSI programming. So for instance, the field trip to Fort Snelling is a PLSI event, and that is covered through PLSI budget. CLEO pays for that with your program fee. However, if you were, again, for an example, still inside of St. Paul, Minnesota, and you wanted to go to the Mall of America, CLEO is not paying for that. That would be the student responsibility for that Uber or whatever car rental, or whatever that may be for that individual student. So I like to differentiate that just a little bit because it's important to know. And lastly, I like to discuss the scholarships. So essentially how that works is that should funding become available for PLSI scholarships, then students have the opportunity to apply to have access to those scholarship funds. And that is a later part in the application process. So as a part of the PLSI process, or application rather, students will be able to express that they are both interested in a scholarship for PLSI and demonstrate need for a scholarship for PLSI. Both of those things will happen on the application as a preliminary measure, but then following that, there is a separate application process that comes out for scholarships, and that is shared only with students who have already been accepted into PLSI. So that is not a part of the initial review. So I'm going to give you a moment for that to process and let you formulate some questions to also include in the Q&A. All right, diving into the application process, what you can expect in terms of the steps. Number one, gathering your materials. And number two, submitting your application through LSAC. So CLEO is happily partnered with LSAC regarding our application for PLSI. So the same information that all of your law schools will be reviewing as they are considering you to be admitted to their law schools, that is the same information that CLEO will be utilizing to review your application and consider you for admission into PLSI. It's called a CAS report, CAS, and inside of that are your transcripts for all of your academic degrees. So if you have your undergraduate transcripts, if you have a graduate degree or any of that, all of your transcripts are in your CAS report. They have a list of all of your GPAs that's included, your letters of recommendation, all of the same things that the law schools have access to. We have the same exact portfolio in the CAS report that we are also going to use for your evaluation. Then you move forward with submitting your application and submitting your application fee to CLEO. That is $30. Students oftentimes ask if there is a waiver available. CLEO does not currently offer application fee waivers for our PLSI application. Some students do have a fee waiver through LSAC, and what that cost would cover, or what that would waive rather, would be the cost of sending your CAS report to CLEO. So the same thing that you're doing when you're filling out your applications to a law school and requesting them to receive your materials, you will be doing the same thing for CLEO to receive it. If you have a fee waiver for that through LSAC, then that would be waived. But CLEO, for the application for PLSI, we do not offer a waiver currently. Once all of those first three are done, then your application is ready for review. Without the CAS report, if we're still waiting on your LSAT scores, your application is not ready for review. If you do not have all of your letters of recommendation, then your application is not ready for review. If you have not submitted the application fee, then your application is not ready for review. So once you reach the first 3 points, then your application is ready for review. For the certain folks who are piquing interest and are under high consideration for the program, you would then interview with the director, me, for PLSI. And then after that, you would then receive your decision of accepted, denied, or waitlisted. So those are the 3 outcomes that one would be able to expect for their PLSI application. It's either green light, welcome in, I'm sorry, you can try again next year, or waitlisted, meaning either there's not enough space or we are going to move forward with doing a secondary review of your application. So those are the 3 outcomes that one would expect. I wanted to take a moment to also talk about CLIC, C-L-I-C, that stands for CLEO Legally Inspired Cohorts. In my other information sessions, I don't usually touch on CLIC, but I wanted to for these information sessions because I know that it's going to be a part of the application process, and I wanted to put this information in front of you. So the purpose of CLIC is to pair students with law schools who value diversity and who are seeking the opportunity to become a law school home for students who come from diverse backgrounds. What this looks like is that if a student applies to the CLIC program, which is featured on the same PLSI application, you're kind of just checking, yes, I'm interested in applying for CLIC, and then you submit your additional documents, which also include your resume as well as a diversity statement. Once those things go in, then you would be eligible to apply for CLIC. But once a student applies and meets the requirements set by CLEO's CLIC partner schools, then you would successfully complete PLSI. If you are granted a seat in CLIC, then you would get paired with a CLIC partner law school, and that is where you would start at that assigned school for the fall. And I like to be very clear again about the assigned part because, all students, as you may imagine, come in with having the list of their ideal schools that they would want to go to. But when it comes to CLIC, we try our best to meet what your preferences are, but we're also balancing that with the eligibility requirements for the law schools. And so we kind of have to make that match based off of both. Once that is made and a student is assigned a law school, you would begin there in the fall. Again, that is making sure that you meet all of the eligibility requirements, which also means successfully completing PLSI. And I also like to share that PLSI in itself is very competitive in terms of the number of applications that we receive, and we have to narrow all of that down to basically 40 seats that we are offering for the summer. And then out of those 40, however many of those students who were accepted who have also applied to the CLIC program, it becomes even more competitive because there are only a very few number of CLIC seats that are offered per year. So we don't like for students to put all of their eggs in one basket and cross their fingers that they're going to get accepted into the CLIC program. You should be casting your net for acceptance into law school, period. And if things sort out to the fact that you are accepted into the CLIC program, great. That's how we like to talk about it. All right, almost there. How can you stand out as an applicant? So we do here at CLEO take a holistic approach in reviewing your application. So that means we're not just looking at your undergraduate GPA. We are not just looking at your LSAT score. I'm also paying very close attention to your letters of recommendation. I'm looking at your resume. I'm looking at your writing samples. So it's more of a holistic approach rather than just looking at 2 data points and making a decision from there. What that means is that you want to focus on your personal statement being very strong. This is a little hint, a little tip straight from the director. I love to learn about a student and who they are through their personal statement. So you have the opportunity to tell a story about your why. Why are you pursuing law school? Why is this something you were interested in? And providing knowledge about who you are. And when something leaps off the page that the reader, me, can connect to, that is what makes a strong personal statement for PLSI. Second thing I wanted to note is that your recommender's words matter. So as you're thinking and considering who's going to be writing a letter of recommendation on your behalf, choose someone who can attest to who you are as a person, who you are as a learner, as a student, and someone who can vouch that this is something you care about and that they know you. I'd say someone with a shorter and meaningful letter works better than a generic longer one. So keep that in mind. And then lastly, you want to do your research and communicate professionally. So throughout this process, you're going to have students who reach out with questions to me, and the email will say, "Hey, Dominique," versus, a more formalized writing style. Perhaps some of our alumni can speak to what the expectations are when you're in law school and what that communication looks like. But because law school is a professional school, we have the same types of expectations when it comes to communication. So those are something else you want to keep in mind. All right, we have now reached my favorite portion of the presentation, which is hearing from our alumni. So I'm going to give them a moment to transition back onto screen so that we can hear from them. I want to just see how we're doing on time. All right, we're doing well. All righty, so for this portion, for these questions, I'm hoping that we have enough time for both of you to answer each, but we'll kind of just go one by one. Let's start with Zanani. What did your journey towards law school look like before PLSI?
So my journey to law school was a little bit non-traditional. I graduated in 2020, so I was a COVID grad. But prior to starting law school, I worked and got my master's. It took me a couple of different application cycles to actually be accepted. But once I got accepted into CLEO, that's when a few more acceptances started happening for me. So yeah, my journey to law school was, like I said earlier, non-traditional, but CLEO really helped me find my footing very early on when finally being able to start in law school this year.
Thank you. And what about you, Aviana?
Okay, mine was also the non-traditional route. Well, I did graduate in 2020. I was a COVID baby. A COVID graduate, but I actually graduated undergrad extremely early. Like I graduated maybe 2 years earlier than what I was supposed to. So I spent those last 2 years going to go get my master's. And then it took me two application cycles to finally get accepted into law school. And I just like when I did CLEO or getting accepted into CLEO, that actually kind of prompt other law schools to start accepting as well. So some similar the same to Zanani's.
Thank you both. How did you hear about CLEO and how did you hear about PLSI? And this is for either of you.
So
Okay.
You can go, Avi.
Okay, so for me, I had a mentor in undergrad. She was actually a CLEO student. She is now a judge in Mississippi, and she just kept preaching to us about CLEO being it's like so good for us to do before going to law school, and how it would help us bridge that gap and going from undergrad to law school, because law school is so much different than undergrad. So she kept telling us about going to CLEO, going to CLEO, going to CLEO. And so finally I looked into it and realized this could possibly help me, and I got accepted.
Yeah. And that's the same for me. A mentor of mine who's now in DC, a big time attorney. Like she's on like the US Black Chambers 40 under 40 list this year. She actually went through the CLEO program. And she told me that it really helped her succeed in law school and really prepare her for the competitiveness and the academic rigor. And so she really encouraged me to apply, and I'm glad I did, because when she talked about the academic rigor and the discipline it requires, she was not playing when she said that. And so thankfully, CLEO really helps you build that foundation and not go into law school like almost oblivious to what you're about to experience, but in the best way. When I say that, I don't want to scare anybody.
Oh, well, with that, how did PLSI impact how you, if you felt prepared for law school, and if so, how?
For me, it really helped with legal writing because I was always a great writer. I was always an exceptional writer, had always been great at writing, but legal writing is so much different than undergrad writing or regular writing because it just I don't even know how to describe it. It's just very different. It's about the citing, about how it's a different process, not even just to scare you guys. I'm just going into great detail about it, but it is so much different. So I think that PLSI helped with like the writing, and then it also helped with case brief, IRAC. It helped with my reading because I know I read faster now because we have to read so much per night. So starting off reading in May helped me prepare for reading in August.
Mm,
So it just helped my reading skills, my writing skills, and it helped me become a critical thinker too. Think
mm.
critically on different levels because the law is tricky, and how you think about things might not be the same way how your classmates think about things. So everybody has their own thought process on it, and learning how to critical think and build those things together, it helped a lot.
Wow. Can I quote you on that? Reading in May helped me prepare for reading in August. That's a quote. Okay.
Was good.
Thank you for that. Zanani, what about you?
Just to follow up and just reiterate everything that AV just said, IRAC, it really helps build your legal writing skills because when you're starting, that's going to be something that your counterparts are just now learning, but now you're simply just practicing because you've really been able to build those skills over the summer. Not only that, but during CLEO, I spent a lot of time with our TAs. And that's something that really helped me be successful in the fall, because I had already built a habit by it during the summer. Not only that, but I was able to get accustomed to the amount of reading because in CLEO we had a lot of reading and not like per night. And so I just really wanted to make sure that everything I was putting in, I was actually going to get, like, that's what you get out. And so I was taking CLEO as serious as I would have took law school, which I think really helped prepare me because CLEO, it's a boot camp. So in some instances, CLEO was a little bit more intense than what I experienced in law school, except during midterm and final season. So you're able to really like get your feet wet before you have to get deep into the amount of work that you're about to experience. So I would say the teaching assistants, the reading, and then also the IRACing, so the legal writing, and then also it helped me learn to prioritize my time before having to start my classes.
Absolutely. Awesome. So hearing a little bit about, the TAs and the different aspects of being in that academic environment, what was the most impactful aspect of PLSI? Was it the community? Was it getting the feel of talking with teaching assistants at that level? What would you say is the most impactful aspect of PLSI?
I would say it was more so talking to the TAs, the teacher assistants. I mean, talking to the professors, of course, they are a teacher and they have been in law school, have passed the bar, and they have been practicing for years and teaching for years. But actually talking to a 1L that has about to become a 2L while you become about to become a 1L, talking to them and hearing their experience first on and hearing like real life experience, not being like poor or mediocre, actually talking and getting to like the nitty gritty truth about how stressful and how tedious and time consuming law school is, that was more impactful to me.
Mm, thank you.
So that was good, AV. And also another thing that's keeping And TAs are teaching assistants. I'm not sure if we
I
said
thought
that.
I said that.
I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. But then also like not only meeting with your TAs, but your teachers in CLEO, we were able to be taught by some amazing professors. And that's typically the type of teachers you'll experience in law school. You'll realize that most of your professors like really enjoy their job and they're people too, and they can really help you figure out the path you want to go down. And so that was something I gained through CLEO because I still am in contact with a few of our professors. And then also we had a professional development seminar that I really was able to learn a lot of things from. And one thing that she informed us was that your first semester is one of the most, if not the most important part of your law school experience, especially when it comes to those potential summer opportunities. And so when I was preparing my resume and cover letter and getting ready for interviews for this upcoming summer, I was able to call Miss McDonald and talk to her. And I said, hi, I was one of the CLEO students that you said, and I listened and I want you to help me. And so she was very helpful. But lastly, something important I took away from CLEO is that I can do this. One of the things that you have to overcome in law school is imposter syndrome. And it's really a mental sport. You learn that it's a marathon and not a race. And when you are in CLEO, when you first start, you look at, oh wow, like 200 pages of reading. And then by the time you finish, you're like, I did that. I took my law school exams and everything. So it really helps you overcome the self-doubt as well.
Yeah, just to speak on the imposter syndrome, that is very, very real. Some days you sit in class, you just be like, do I belong here? Am I really supposed to be here? And yes, you were accepted. They read your file. They understand you're supposed to be in there. You're supposed to be in those positions. You're supposed to be in that spot. You're supposed to be in that class.
Mm,
Mhm.
absolutely. Awesome. Has there been a time within your first semester, because both of these alumni are in their 1L year right now, has there been a time in your first semester or even maybe early second semester where you thought to yourself, wow, CLEO really prepared me for this moment right here. This is why I did PLSI. Have you had that moment yet?
I had it last semester when we did the email memo. We did an email memo as a legal writing assignment in CLEO, and I had to do an email memo for my legal writing class last semester. And as I was writing, I was like, "Whoa, this was kind of like a flashback moment to the summer. CLEO prepared me for this."
Deja vu. Nice. What about you?
And all the time. Like everybody at FAMU Law knows about CLEO at this point because I'm like, well, in CLEO, we did this one in CLEO. It's just kind of funny because you'll go into your torts class, to your con law class, to your crim class, like to every subject we had in CLEO, knowing information. And then not only that, I like to tell this story. One of my teachers, instead of doing like cold calls, she had us present a case. Well, I wasn't nervous about cold calls because in CLEO, they had us stand and answer questions, and they would randomly call on us based off of the reading that they assigned the night before or the weekend prior. And so when it was time for me to do my case brief, I signed up for like the first week of school, made a whole presentation, had it just down packed. And I'm talking about blew the teacher away, and she never forgot that. And law school is a bit of a competition. Unfortunately, fortunately, it really helps you grasp the material more. But what that demonstrated to me was like CLEO built this confidence in me that I felt like it was nobody. It was
Mm,
nobody in my legal classroom or in that school that could outwork me because CLEO prepared me and put me in a position to have that confidence and like go in knowing what was going to be required of me and what I need to do to be successful. And so CLEO, greatest investment. I'm telling you all, greatest investment.
I didn't even pay her to say that.
But
It
yeah,
is.
they don't.
It is, and then it gives you like this networking because I still
Yeah.
talk to my whole cohort. We still have group chats. We still conversate. And mind you, we are all over the United States. The
Yep.
90s in Florida. I'm in Kansas. I have a friend in California.
Mm.
And then I have another friend. Well, I have like three friends in California. We have friends in New York, and we just give you like a networking spot to communicate with other 1Ls of the same, not the same background, but kind of the same background that you have experienced.
Yeah.
And it gives you a way to decompress and talk to other people where you can just sit down and be yourself and discuss how stressful law school is, because I'm not going to sugarcoat. Law school is very stressful. And I'm not trying to deter anybody from coming. We want you here. Please come. Law school is stressful. And I think my word of the year is to be consistent and
Yep.
precise. You have to be consistent with your goals, and you have to be precise with your goals. Law school is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's a constant marathon that keeps on going. And your first impressions means everything, because if you could talk to somebody in 5 minutes, they will remember that 5-minute conversation when it's time to do a reference letter, when it's time to accept your invitation on LinkedIn, when it's time to recommend you for a job, when it's time to recommend you for an internship, externship, or whatever. Those first 5 minutes that you connect with somebody, it matters. Like it really truly does matter. So make sure that you put your best foot forward. And I just want to say, like, CLEO helped me with that. CLEO helped me keep networking. Like, I was always good at talking about myself and saying what I can do, but CLEO helped me keep that networking branch open. Like, I'm able to still communicate and keep that constant communication train going, if that makes sense.
And I think AB, that's really beautiful, because you low key kind of just answer like the last question, but I just want to build off that. Aviana and I were roommates in CLEO, and me and her were just on FaceTime last night. What were we talking about? Everything. Like, it's so funny because our other roommate, Lauren, we converse with her all the time. So when Aviana talks about building that network, like she said, like, law school has its ups and downs. It takes a village, and CLEO is that like that first part of that village that's going to really support you and help you be successful in law school. And success doesn't necessarily always mean that being at the top. It just, personally, to me, success looks like earning your law degree and passing the bar and then contributing to your community in a positive way. And CLEO is going to help you do that. You're going to be able to build relationships. That was like the main thing. Like Aviana, being able to still talk to Lauren, even we call her TT Dom, Auntie Dom. Like, that is something that's so important, because nobody really knows what you experience as a law student except another law student or maybe an attorney, but even then it's still so different. And so being able to call like my CLEO family and be able to vent to them about what I'm experiencing and know they have my back is just a different level of comfort during this experience.
Cause it's hard. I promise you, it's hard. And sometimes mama and dad and family and auntie and anybody else or husband, they don't really understand what you're going through, or they don't understand how you can't tell them certain things, because like our legal writing assignment, I cannot tell my parents what we're writing about. I'll be breaking the undercode, and I'll be breaking privilege. So I cannot tell them what I'm writing about. But talking to other students and not just telling them what I'm writing about, but tell them what I'm doing, and they understand. It's just like building, like I said, it's building connections, building networking. It's having your village. You have a village at home, but you're growing into a legal village, and your legal village is always going to be there.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt with your permission, of course. CLEO, Legal Village. Let's talk. All right. We have about 1 more minute that I want to give to these lovely alumni. So is there anything else that you want to share about PLSI before we transition to questions?
I just say give it your all. And remember how I said earlier, you get what you put in. Really take it serious, because I promise you it will pay off in the long run. And make sure you take advantage of really enhancing those legal writing skills like IRACing. Make sure that you're building that study schedule ahead of time and you kind of get a grasp of how long it takes you to do your readings. Because if you can go into your first semester with those 3 skills, like the writing, being disciplined, and being able to take control of your time, is going to set you apart vastly from your peers. And it's really going to increase the amount of opportunities you have just coming out of your first year of law school alone.
Yeah. Also, just to add on, I didn't talk about boundaries. Please start setting those boundaries ahead of time because sometimes like you cannot communicate with your friends or even your parents or or husband like you used to because you got to spend so much time studying and writing and perfecting his degree. So start setting boundaries early and like Zanani said about success is for me, success is just showing up every day. If you can show up every day and have at least half of your brief of half of your IREC assignment, you did enough. Success is showing up. Continue to keep showing up, and you're going to be very successful.
Yep, persistence is your power.
Mm.
Somebody told me that the other day. Persistence is their power. I said, persistence is my power. So yeah, show up every day. Go to class, y'all. Go to class.
Even if you go to class and you have not read for the night, you being there counts for something. Show up.
Be persistent.
Amazing. Well, thank y'all so much. I'll give you a round of applause. They're on a webinar, so they can't, put anything into the chat, but thank you both. That was very insightful. And we have some really awesome slogans now. Thank you to you both.
My
Uh,
credits.
absolutely, absolutely. We'll talk. So we're gonna transition into questions. So I'm going to pull it up. I see one that's specific to Aviana and Zanani, so I think we'll start there. Aviana and Zanani, thank you for sharing your law school application and CLEO journeys. I am also a non-traditional applicant, having had higher education, BA, MPH, and work experience in healthcare. I am now studying for the LSAT. Are there any resources and or tools/approaches that helped you in improving your LSAT score?
For me, I use Khan Academy. It was free and I just use all the free material I can use. And then it was also a program that I completely forgot about. But it was a program I went to at I think it was Bowen School of Law in Arkansas. And they kind of helped me with my helped me breaking down the LSAT questions and helped me with the critical thinking ones. Yeah, analytical reason. Yeah, help me with that.
So I know that the test has changed, but one of the things that helped my score jump was the logic game section. But since that's not a thing anymore, I would say just expose yourself to as many practice questions as possible. And then another thing that helps is I was able to get a tutor, but I know that's not feasible for everyone. So I would just try to find someone that is studying the LSAT with you, because one thing I learned in law school is like those study groups really help you, but also holding yourself accountable to sticking with a study schedule, because the more that you expose yourself to material over time, you'll be able to, get the score that you like. But I also want to share with you, like, don't get bogged down if you don't see the results instantly. Like, to be honest, I'm in law school and I never got to my goal score. But I'm still here and I'm doing well. So I just encourage you to stay encouraged. I hope that was helpful.
Awesome. And just to add to that, and this is another question that came up, is does this program help with LSAT and applying to law school? So CLEO, as a pipeline organization, we do support with also preparing you for the LSAT. So if you go to our website, and maybe you remember it from the first couple of slides going over our other programs, but we do have a program called ASAP, which is Achieving Success in the Application Process, that can help you with that. And then depending on what year you are, I think it's open to juniors, seniors, and postgrads, but you can confirm that on the website. We have Jumpstart the LSAT, which helps you with strategies for doing well on the LSAT. So because CLEO is a pipeline program, we do help you from the very beginning. So check out our website. Let's see. I think there was another question that popped up for you two specifically. Oh, well, it's Zanani. Hi, Zanani. I'm in Florida considering FAMU law also. Can you speak more about your experience there?
Yes, we truly are a family. I can't say I really have enjoyed not only being in law school at my university, but also the love and care and support that we receive. Our teachers are very receptive to our feedback and very engaging, and I have yet to meet a teacher that I think does not want to be there. My peers and I are very supportive of each other, even though we are in a competitive environment. And something else that I really like is that it's in Orlando. So when you do have those opportunities for some downtime, it's a lot of things to do. But I can overall say that like FAMU law is truly preparing me not only for success in the field of law, but when I take the bar, when it comes to internship opportunities and so much more. And I'm more than happy to share my email because I could literally go on about my experience here and just how dedicated they are to making sure we are successful and committed to being public servants to our community as well, which is very important, especially as you earn your law degree.
Thank you. And Aviana, we can chat after or later, even if you want, but I can include your email, Zanani, for in the follow-up message along with the video. So if you want me to just send it out that way, that works. To the attendees. And Aviana, if you want to do the same, let me know.
I saw a question about Dean's List. I'll be very transparent. Dean's List at FAMU Law is a 3.33. I have a 3.2. So no, I did not make Dean's List. But what I can say is I am in the top 10% of my law program. And I can honestly say CLEO helped with that. So I just encourage you all to really understand that if you do the work and you prepare and like AB said, you just be consistent, especially with CLEO. And then when you start school, you'll be able to see those results. But just like studying for the LSAT, it may not be upfront because I'm going to tell you it's very difficult. And sometimes there's a very big learning curve. But if you have other questions about what it takes to be successful when it comes to law school, CLEO gave me a lot of these prep things, such as like this book right here. Yeah, I have it with me. It's called the Perfect Practice Exam. I'm sorry. This is something that CLEO told me about. It has all of your first year course essays in it. And it was great. It really helped me on all of my exams. So CLEO's going to help you be prepared to be very competitive, especially with starting law school. And I'm glad you're going in with goals to make the Dean's List. Keep those aspirations high.
Please do, because like I'm not on the Dean's List, but I'm not at the very bottom of my list. So it's competitive, and I'm still we're it's a try. I promise. It's a sprint. It's a marathon. I'm still running. I'm in the race. Law school is hard. It's going to be the most difficult thing that you have ever done. Long as you show up every day, you continue to do what you got, do what you have to do, and do what has to be done, you're gonna do awesome. Set your goals and accomplish them throughout the semester.
And make sure that you don't burn yourself out the first 2 months. It is so many kids that start pulling all-nighters those first 2 weeks. But I promise y'all, I didn't have to kick the gas on for real, until like a week or two before midterms because CLEO kind of set that foundation for me. So remember, it really is a marathon and don't it have blinders on. Run your own race because it's so easy to get caught up. And another thing CLEO taught me was don't get in a study group the first 2 weeks of school. Like that third or fourth week, kind of pay attention to who's able to answer questions in class and who comes prepared and takes it seriously. But don't just rush to get into a study group. And those are the things that CLEO's going to teach you. They're not just going to teach you academic strategies. They're going to teach you like well-being strategies as well. Like they had somebody who talked to us about our mental health come and speak with us about how people get so caught up in wanting to be like at the very, very top that they lose themselves and then they're not even happy in the program. So just remember your why and then also hang up your personal statement because when you're having those hard, long nights, you need to remember why you want to go to school in the first place and keep going.
Also, just to point out, CLEO helped me with my study group. My study group are all CLEO alums. So we all still communicate, we all talk. We our first time meeting each other was like in May. Yeah, we met for the first time in May, and here we are February of 2025, and we communicate like we long lost cousins. So Your study group, my study group is from the same people I studied with in the summer. So yeah, CLEO helped me get my study group.
And
Uh,
can I answer a question real quick, Dawn?
yes, absolutely.
She asked, how do we decompress and practice self-care with the stress of law school?
Mhm.
AB, do you want to go or you?
Well, when I was home, I used to bake. I'm a baker, so I bake cake and pies and pretty much anything. So here, I typically try to bake, and if I'm not baking, I try to go to the gym because sometimes we spend so much time at our desk or at our computers typing that we don't get up to relax and exercise our body or walk our legs or whatever. So I try to go exercise. I try to go to the gym and do a couple minutes on the treadmill or some laps around the track to just get my mind off of it, and then I go back to it with a clear mind.
Yeah, and I try to get between 7 to 8 hours of sleep, especially before midterms. I really get very strict with my time. But what I can tell you is like my closest friend I made in law school, me and her like go to dinner like for on Friday evenings. The library closes at 7. So I'm like, all right, girl, let's go get some food and just kind of decompress. And then on Sundays, I try to go to church with my auntie here in Orlando. And then the funny part is you will find that time, like if you allow yourself to listen to your body to kind of decompress, like most time your body will kind of tell you like, yeah, it's time for me to shut off this reading or studying. And then something else I like to do is like I actually just put a walking pad in my house because I wasn't enjoying the gym I was going to. So now I have a standing desk and a walking pad and I can kind of like run while I outline and do my little studying and stuff. And it also keeps me up. So I just encourage you to plug that into your schedule so that you can still have those times to take care of yourself. And if you like to get your nails done or get your hair done, still do those things. Okay, don't be like me and just look wild by the time your family sees you. Okay, because I can admit I forgot to get my hair done a few times and it was a struggle. But I promise you, like as long as you put it in your schedule and and you're on track with your schedule when you're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing, you'll be okay. And you can still have that balance.
Please. And just to add on me, I'm 9 hours away from my hometown, and I grew up in a close knitted area where everybody knew everybody. So when my family did come visit me for like Thanksgiving, because I couldn't go home because it was around finals time and I was really locked in with studying, my mom was we went to the nail shop and then we went and got our my hair done. Then we went and she cleaned up the apartment because the apartment was a mess. Because I had just been so focused and so good on finals that I kind of forgot everything else around me. So please make time for yourself. Please make time to get your hair done. Please make time to get your nails done, your eyebrows, your lashes. Go shopping, even if you don't have any money because you can't get a job while in law school, but go window shopping. Just
Make
just
sure
get
you
out the school.
shower. Make sure you shower. Make sure you eat healthy foods.
Mhm.
Okay, that helps fuel your brain.
Make sure you put your clothes on the right side. Cause I went to school one day with my clothes inside out.
Then you
Oh
send us a
no.
picture talking about, girl, look, I'm like, you need to go to bed. You need to go to bed. I'm sorry, y'all. I know we holding y'all up. We having a good time with y'all. I told y'all, CLEO is a family. We the CLEO Village family, CLEO Family Village.
Ooh,
Uh,
yeah. So make time for yourself because sometimes we forget, but make time for yourself.
Amazing. Thank you, ladies, both so very much for all of your insight and your laughter and your joy. This has been great. I'm going to stay on and answer some of these program specific questions. If you want to stay on, you are absolutely more than welcome to. But I'm going to transition to those. But if you have to leave us now, I just want to say thank you before I dive into all of these questions that will probably lead to more questions.
Can I answer this last question and I'm gonna
Yeah.
leave? It said, how do you navigate the competition and set boundaries with colleagues who may be unhealthy competitive? Can't nobody compete with me if I don't want to compete with them. I'm not going to compete with nobody and we're on different levels. It's not competition if the other person don't know that they're in competition. So you don't have to compete with anybody. Don't go and get in that mind spread where I gotta be better than them, I gotta be different than them. You're on your own race, on your own track, in your own lane. Set your own goals, accomplish your own goals, and move in silence. They
And
will
just
see what you're doing when your goals speak for yourself. So when you accomplish everything, it will speak for itself. Don't think about competition.
and just to add to that, another thing that I personally did to avoid getting into the whole competitive mindset, because I'm naturally a competitive person. Like I used to do sports and do all type of campaigns. Like I'm naturally a competitor, and like I'm not gonna lie. In fact, my dad texts me every week, "You are an apex predator," right? Because as much as we don't want to compete, like law school in itself is a competition. So the way in which I navigated that was I wrote down what does success look like to me this semester. And last semester it was making sure I somehow, make it to the gym, that I say good morning every time I walk into the law school building so that I'm a positive person regardless of what I'm going through, but also that I stick to my schedule and do my reading like I say I'm going to do. And so those are the things that help me not be competitive. But I will tell you, don't depend on anyone to provide you with information. Law school is going to teach you to be very dependable and make sure that you come in doing everything you need to do to be prepared. So make sure that you find like you'll find your group of people, or maybe your person. I happen to find my one person, but me and her still make sure we come to the table with our own things. So, if whatever you believe in, I personally believe in God. I pray a lot and I stay true to myself, but make sure you figure out what success looks like to you. And just stay encouraged. Stay encouraged.
You should only be in competition with yourself. Set your own goals and then accomplish them, and make sure that your goals align with your success, what you think is good, and what you're planning on doing. Because some of my classmates plan on being on the big law track. I plan on being on the government law track. Some people want to be senators or governors or use their law degree to go help in school districts or overseas. Some people want to be prosecutors and defense attorneys and public defenders. Some people just want to be a big law attorney where they work for corporations and they do contracts and bills. You have to build your own circle and your own competition within.
But all right, y'all. I know I just came from a midterm. I'm about to go study for another one. Good luck, everybody. Love y'all.
Thank you so much.
I
Great. Much appreciated.
You can send my email out, but I don't have a midterm to prepare for, but I got to study for class. I got a brief to turn in like 2 days. So
Yes, best of luck with that too. Thank you again for being here.
all right, TT Dub. See you soon.
Have a good one. All righties. Love hearing from alumni. That was amazing. Let's wrap up with these final few questions regarding PLSI. So will this session be virtual? So the program is 6 weeks long. The first 2 weeks are virtual for everyone. And then the last 4 weeks are in person for everyone. So that is when people will transition to being on campus to take their classes, which is after the first 2 weeks. Let's see, next question. Do we know where it will be this summer? I know, but I can't announce it just yet. The application will be going live at the end of this week. And we're going to be sending out, so everyone whose email we have, we're going to send that announcement to you and how to access it. It will also be posted on the PLSI website so that you will have access to start your application. How long is the program? It is 6-week program. And I know from scrolling, the dates of the program. So we are going to be starting the day after Memorial Day and going until July 3rd. So we're going to start program on May 27th. And then we will have our graduation on July 3rd, and everyone will go home July 3rd, check out of the dorms and go home on July 3rd. So that will also be on the website and on the application itself. Someone else's question. This may not be for me right now. I'm looking to apply early. but still haven't yet taken the LSATs. Could you reapply for entry for 2026? Absolutely, yes, you can. For PLSI. In the meantime, for summer 2025, I can recommend you the ASAP program, Achieving Success in the Application Process. So you can do ASAP this summer, and then you can do PLSI next summer, and then start law school fall 2026. So that is definitely an option for you. Check out the website so that you can get more information on ASAP. Does this help prepare for LSAT at all? I believe I answered this question, if not a similar question earlier. We do offer programs such as ASAP that I mentioned, as well as Jumpstart the LSAT that can help you with preparing for the LSAT. PLSI does not help with preparing for the LSAT because we're preparing you for law school. So if you go to our website, you will then see all of the other program offerings that CLEO has and which one would be a great fit for you. Can we get recommendation letters from professors in the program? I have absolutely seen that happen many times. So because it is a 6-week program and you have the opportunity to be physically in the classroom with your professors and even connect online during the virtual portion of the program, by the end of the 6 weeks, we do have professors who generously offer their recommendations to add to student portfolios and their CAS reports for their law school applications. That absolutely happens. It's not something that we, can advertise as a benefit because that is definitely a professor specific decision. But it has definitely happened previously. Do you typically host the program in New York? We have a few programs that are hosted in New York. PLSI for the past 2 summers have not been hosted in New York. Again, the host will be announced in the coming weeks, and then you will know whether or not PLSI will be hosted in New York or not. But for the past 2 summers, at the very least, that is not where we have been hosted. For the in-person portion of the PLSI program, what is the usual days/hour commitment for the week? That's a great question. So for the in-person portion, you can expect to be at the law school for most of the day, where breakfast and lunch are provided. Dinner, depending on how the meals are set up, would either be back on campus, like at the dorms, or something that would be provided to you in a different way. But you can expect to be there during business hours at the law school taking your PLSI coursework. And then again, on the weekends, you do have, again, the expectation in terms of studying, because you will have midterms, you will have final exams, you will have quizzes, so you will have reading assignments. So a lot of your time there would be spent doing that, just as it will be in law school. And then again, field trip offerings that are mandatory participation as a part of completing the program. It is time intensive. I will absolutely be honest about that. But again, as the 2 alumni shared earlier, definitely worth it in terms of preparing yourself. Scholarship question: will the scholarships cover the cost of the $2,500 fee, not the $30 application fee, once the person has been accepted? So how the scholarships have operated for this past year is that we were able to offer those who were accepted to the scholarship cohort their full cost for the program. So I can't speak right now for summer 2025, but do know that that information will be readily available to those who are already accepted into PLSI when that time comes. What are some of the partner schools? If you go, and the same thing, who are the CLIC partner schools? If you go onto the website, and if you just type in the search bar, or if you can go under schools, partner schools, you will see both the list of CLEO consortium schools as well as the CLIC partner schools there. Let's see, the website says I'm going to answer that later. Click versus PLSI. Do you have to apply to PLSI to be considered into Click? Yes, you do. So essentially what that looks like is that you are going to fill out the application for PLSI. In that PLSI application, there will be a section for Click where you can indicate your interest. And then when you indicate your interest, you would then be prompted to submit the supplemental material for the Click program. So Click does not exist outside of PLSI, to answer your question. There will be students who participate in PLSI who are not a part of Click, but all Click students are PLSI students. Do you all use the letters of recommendation from our LSAC account that law schools receive, or do we have to get additional letters of recommendation from other people? We're using the same letters of recommendation in your LSAC account. So the same information that law schools have access to in your CAS report, that's the same exact CAS report that will be sent to CLEO. So we'll have the same LSAT scores, your transcripts, your GPA, your writing samples, all of that the law schools have access to, we also have access to, because the application is hosted on the LSAC portal. So we have access to the same one. So you do not have to find new recommenders. It's the same letters of recommendation. I am an incoming law student at Georgetown University Law this fall, but I do not have a LSAT or GRE score. Am I still eligible to apply to the PLSI program? Without either of those, I'm not sure what the application eligibility requirements would be outside of that. So I would say, if this is a very, very specific question, feel free to send me an email. And then we can maybe discuss what that looks like, so that I have more clarity, because without more information on how you gained acceptance into law school, I won't be able to advise on that right now. Thank you for this informative session. For planning purposes, do we know the dates? Yes, they will also be online. What is the latest I should complete the LSAT test? I can't advise you on that specific timeline, but do know that you would have had to already taken it at least once and have applied to at least one law school and be waiting to hear back from them before you are eligible for PLSI. I appreciate you all. This was a great experience. I'm on my lunch break. I must get back. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining. Dates we already spoke about. Location will be announced soon. What do you guys think about the current events in DEI getting attacked by the current government? Is this changing your job search strategies or overall thoughts on law school and being a lawyer? I think this was a question most likely for our alumni. I will make sure that I send that to them before I send out the follow-up message. So maybe they can provide some of their insight. I'm sorry, I didn't see that until just now. Let me copy and paste that for later. All right, in the interest of time, I really do have to go, but I wanted to hear my question being answered. I would love to know, when you send the video, can you provide answers to the questions just in case we miss it here? Yes. Someone else just said, thank you. What's the application called on LSAC for the summer program? It's not live yet, but it will be populated under CLEO, Council on Legal Education Opportunity, Inc., and it will fall under the PLSI application. Once we do go live with that information, it will be linked there, so you could send in your application directly through our website. It'll take you straight to the LSAC portal. Application is opening at the end of this week. And I don't remember the close date off the top of my head, but that will also be updated on the website once we go live. All right, I have no other questions coming through right now. I will pause just for a moment in case someone is typing their last question. Oh, yep, here we go. Thank you for your time and guidance this evening, Dominique. I truly appreciate the insights you and CLEO alum provided today. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. This is the second PLSI information session, so I'm glad that it's helpful to have your questions shared or answered rather, and have the answers shared live. I think it's a really great opportunity. Has the deadline been released? Deadline in terms of the application deadline, it has not been released, but it will be released when the application goes live at the end of this week. I hope that was I hope that's the information that you were looking for when you mentioned the deadline. Let's see, where are we with time? Alrighty. Thank you. You are welcome. Thank you for being here. And I look forward to reviewing some of your materials, your application materials. Thank y'all for being here. Let's see. Last question. One question for you, Dominique. What motivated you to partner with CLEO? So I don't partner with CLEO. I work for CLEO. I'm the director of law school initiatives with CLEO. And thank you. Thank you for coming. What motivated me to work with CLEO is that I care very deeply about access. So prior to, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, prior to I guess transitioning back into the nonprofit realm, I work very heavily in education, educational nonprofits, and physically working in the classroom, supporting teachers, coaching, all that good stuff. And so when I saw an opportunity to help students and continue working in student support at a higher level, because I do really love and appreciate higher education as an institution, and know that the need there is very vast. I had opportunity to coach students and help them gain acceptance into college, but then seeing the need for a more well-rounded approach for those who are serving in leadership positions who want to help other people, that really attracted me to working and supporting students wanting to go to law school. So that's kind of how I landed with CLEO. So still education, still helping students just like yourselves. And it's the work that I love to do. I love helping people and helping them gain access to, environments that historically haven't looked like them. And yeah, that's a big part of why I do what I do. Thank you for that question. Let's see. I don't see any other questions coming through. I'm going to pause for another 2 minutes. So I'm going to go until 7:55 Eastern. If anyone else has any other questions before we close out, there's still 15 people here. So I will wait it out until 7:55 and then we'll wrap up. So if there are any other questions, type now or forever hold your peace. All right. Wow. Thank you for sharing your passion with us and your commitment to increasing access and equity in legal education. Have a nice evening, everyone. You as well. Thank you. Have a nice one. And thank you for joining and for your questions and engagement. If there are no final questions, we are going to end here. Thank you all so much for tuning in and engaging with us. Oh, we have one more. Thank you, your time. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Your time is appreciated too. Thanks for coming. This was lovely. We are going to end here at 7:55.